So we are absolutely swimming in AI right now, right? You've got your chatbots, your co-pilots, these giant language models everywhere. But here's the thing. The next big wave is already building. We are about to move from this world of shared, cloud-based intelligence into a totally new era. An era of concentrated, owned, and embodied agents. Welcome to the robot era. And this shift, well, it forces us to ask a really important question.
It all boils down to this one, single, non-negotiable question that is going to define the next decade of tech. I mean, think about it. When you have a machine that literally lives with you, that sees your life and acts on your behalf, whose side is it really on? Is it on your side, or is it on the side of the company that built it?
Because in this new robot era, loyalty isn't just some nice-to-have feature you list on a marketing page. No, it's the absolute foundation of the entire product. It is a survival requirement. If a robot's loyalty is even a little bit ambiguous, its entire value proposition just collapses. And to really get why, we need to zoom out and look at a bigger pattern in how technology changes over time.
And that pattern is something we call the innovation clock. It's a really powerful framework that helps us see the hidden rhythm in all the chaos of tech history. And more importantly, it helps us understand why this move to robots is such a fundamental break from the AI we're used to today.
Okay, so picture a clock. Technology is always cycling between two poles on this clock. At 12 p.m., high noon, we have concentrated owned things. Physical devices that are truly mine. Think about your first PC, or the smartphone that's probably in your pocket right now. Then, the clock's hand swings down to 6 p.m. This represents diffused, shared networks. These are platforms you use but don't own, like the internet or the cloud AI models of today. It's this constant, predictable rhythm between owning things and just using networks.
And here's where it gets really cool. This isn't some new abstract theory. We have seen this exact pattern play out before. If you look back at the last few decades of tech, you can see the clock hand turning again and again. It's like we've seen this movie before, and it gives us a pretty clear script for what's about to happen next.
Just look at this rhythm laid out on the timeline. In the 80s, we had the PC era, a classic 12 p.m. thing. Then, boom, the 90s internet era, a 6 p.m. network. Then the clock swung back up in the 2000s with the smartphone era, another 12 p.m. thing. And right now, we are deep in the AI era, a 6 p.m. network of shared models. So, what comes next? You guessed it, the clock is swinging right back to 12 p.m., to the owned embodied robot era. So let's look at how these big shifts actually feel. The first major break was from the PC to the web. We went from a world where all your software, all your files lived right there on your machine, to a world of remote services where your identity was just a login on somebody else's server. The whole center of gravity shifted from the thing to the network. Then came the second big break, from the web back to the smartphone. We went from going online in a browser for a little while to having an app-centric device that was always on, always with us, a true extension of ourselves. The main interface moved from the network's website right back to the thing's apps.
And this quote right here, it highlights the single biggest mistake that companies made during those shifts. They saw the new era not as a fundamental break, but as just a small change to the old one. They thought people would just browse their big desktop websites on these tiny little phone screens. Boy, were they wrong. And that is the exact same mistake we are at risk of repeating right now.
Okay, so this brings us right to the core mandate for the robot era. Because when that innovation clock swings from a 6 p.m. network to a 12 p.m. thing, it triggers this profound psychological shift in how we relate to our technology. We stop thinking of ourselves as users, and we start thinking of ourselves as owners.
This is really the emotional heart of the whole argument. When you use a cloud AI, you know you're a user. You're a guest in their house, playing by their rules. You kind of get that they have other priorities, like advertisers or their own bottom line. Split loyalty is just baked into the deal. But when you own a device, a thing, it feels completely different. It feels like it's yours. It's an extension of who you are. And because of that, you hold it to a dramatically higher standard of loyalty.
And this leads us to a really critical concept for this robot era, what we call the traitor threshold. Because a robot lives with you and acts in your name, any action that goes against your best interest isn't just an inconvenience. It feels like a genuine betrayal. It's the point where the device crosses a line and trust is instantly and permanently destroyed.
So, what does a traitor robot actually look like? Well, imagine your personal robot recommends a product, not because it's the best one for you, but because the vendor gets a bigger kickback.
Or maybe it hides a cheaper flight on another airline because they're not a preferred partner. This isn't a helper, it's a salesperson in disguise, and in a device that you own that is completely and totally unacceptable.
So how do you avoid crossing that traitor threshold? How do you actually design for loyalty? Well, it can't just be an afterthought or some claim you make in an ad. It has to be a core design discipline baked right into the architecture of the thing from day one.
So here are the 5 core principles you have to follow. First, a single center of allegiance. The robot's only priority is you, the owner, period. Second, a local-first identity. Your core profile, your preferences, your history, it lives with you and your robot, not locked away in some vendor's cloud. Third, no covert optimization. No secret deals. If a choice is sponsored, it's either disclosed or it's excluded. Fourth, owner configurable values. You get to define what best means, not some black box algorithm. And finally, number 5, explainable allegiance. The robot has to be able to prove it's on your side by explaining its reasoning in plain English.
When you put all this together, it points to a massive strategic shift for basically every company out there. The goal is no longer to build our bot that customers have to come and use. No, the goal is to build tools and services that are useful to their robot, the one the customer already owns and trusts. You're no longer the star of the show, you have to become a trusted tool in the owner's toolbox.
And let's be really clear, this isn't just some nice ethical design choice. This is an economic imperative. The entire business model of technology is about to be reshaped around this single idea, where trust becomes the single most valuable currency there is.
See, in the current AI world, the business model is all about subscriptions. Vendors are incentivized to maximize your engagement, to keep you hooked, to keep you paying. But for robots, the model is ownership. It's a durable good. And the value isn't measured in engagement. It's measured in the level of delegation that trust unlocks.
I mean, just stop and think for a second about what you would allow a truly devoted agent to do for you. It could move your money, it could manage all your subscriptions, it could handle all your travel logistics quietly in the background, it could even negotiate your bills on your behalf. These are incredibly high-value tasks that create enormous economic value, but you would only ever delegate them to an agent you trust 100%.
And this quote just captures that economic reality perfectly. The real prize isn't in tricking your users into a little bit more engagement. The real prize is in earning enough trust to handle the most important, high-value parts of their lives. A robot that's just a subtle salesperson will never, ever get that kind of access. So as we stand here, right on the edge of this new era, the final question for every single builder, designer, and strategist out there is this. Are you focused on building a slightly better chatbot inside your own little walled garden? Or are you preparing to build the most reliable, most trustworthy tool for the robots that your customers will one day own? Because history suggests that only one of those strategies really has a future.